Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Today's episode, we're gonna take a look at how to mix drums. All right. Now, as you may have already known at this point, based on maybe watching videos from YouTube or taking master classes, the point is the goal for mixing drums is to make sure that your drums is punchy. Regardless of what genre you're mixing. Whether it's hip hop, especially if it is rock. Of course, you need a drums that can cut through the whole mix. Because the drums, all right, its beauty comes from its peaks. Its loud peaks. Its transient peaks. All right, and if in an entire mix, all right, let's say in a rock track, if your drums aren't punchy, then and your drums are just being basically buried by the entirety of the mix, let's say by the bass or by the by basically every other instrument, by the piano or organ or guitars or even the vocals. If your drums aren't punchy, then what are they there for? So as you may have already known, like I said, the goal when it comes to mixing drums is to make it as punchy as it could be. Alright? Because if you don't really want to make it punchy, then my question is, what are you doing with it? You know what I'm saying? So, I think, alright, based on how I mix, I think the role of the drums is to be the one that has the loudest peaks in the entirety of the mix. If we analyze a waveform, right? Let me see if I can. Let's say this waveform right here is your entire mix. All right, let me explain it to you. The loudest peaks right here, all right, should be your drums. All right, it's a combination of every single thing that is a part of your mix, which what I'm saying is your vocal, the combination of your vocals, drums, bass, etc., and all of that jazz. All right, but one of your loudest instruments should be your drums, and one of the things that you could do. Now, there's a headroom for it, like before it starts clipping, in that. Make sure, if you'll pay attention here over where my mouse is at, make sure you don't overshoot this mark right here, at 0 decibels. All right, so that being said, what you really want is you want your entire mix to be, in order for you to avoid your mix to be too loud, what you would do is you would instead make your drums sound punchy without it being too loud. All right, so then your drums doesn't take too much headroom. It only takes headroom at the first hit, at its transient. That's the only headroom it's taking. Ideally, that's what it is. So then, how do you mix punchy drums? All right, before I tell you what a punchy drum should sound like, let me show you a waveform right here. All right, in every waveform there's this loud peak. All right, let me give you a better example. All right, focus on this one here, this I've highlighted. All right, in every waveform there is this loud initial peak right here. That's the loud part, and then there is the tail. All right, what is that, the part where it's not as loud, but that's the pretty much the sustain of your waveform. All right, so then that being said, all right, you want your, oops, what did I do? Anyway, sorry about that. What you want is your drums. What you want, actually, let's go back to that example. All right, what you want to do is you want to make sure that a little part of that waveform goes through before you compress it, you know, meaning the transient part of that, you want to compress it before you make, you want to let your waveforms not be compressed at this point, but somewhere after this loudest peak right here. All right, does that make any sense? Pretty much you let your transient breathe, you know, you let your transient do its thing first before you start compressing the waveform. All right, so how do you achieve that? I'll show you right here. All right, it starts with the master bus. With what I do is, all right, with this attack setting at 30 ms, all right, see, when I hover my mouse it says 30 ms. All right, what this 30 ms setting allows you is that whenever your drums make an initial hit or a strike, the sound that is the first part of the waveform is your transient. Sorry about that. I'm feeling a little sick today, so please bear with me. And what you want to do with your transient is you want to let it breathe, and before you compress it, before you squash it with the compressor. All right, so what you do is you get 30 ms setting and you get the fastest release. In this case, for the master bus compressor, my fastest release is 100 ms, you know, or 0.1 seconds in this case. All right, in the entirety of the mix, this compressor is just doing a maximum of 2 decibels of compression. And that being said, whenever my drums hit, all right, it's doing 2 decibels of compression, but it's allowing my transients to go through first and not compressing it, you know. Let me show you. Let's get to the section of the song where everything is playing here. Alright, if you notice, the needle is moving as the drums hit. You know, it's doing 2 decibels of compression. But the trick is to have that attack so that when the drums hit, it doesn't get squashed. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, your setting for the drums, alright, the most important setting is to have a punchy drums. And you can achieve that by 10 ms. By 30 ms. Some people use 10 ms setting, but me personally, I want 30 ms so that you will be able to let the drums really breathe, you know, and let its transient be the I shouldn't say driving force, but it's more like you let the transient go through first before it being compressed. Because if we have an attack that is at 1 ms, all right, that's not enough for our transients. You know, our transients won't be able to go through, and our music is gonna sound squashed. All right, and we don't want that. So that's why we have 30 ms setting over here. All right. So it starts with the master bus, and it also, next up would be your drum bus. All right, same setting, 30 ms, 100 ms release, 30 ms attack time. It'll also, it's achieving the same effect, and you will have that punchy drums because of this simple setting. You know, there's not much, you know what I'm saying, like not much. It's not really that hard to achieve very punchy drums, you know. And in fact, let me show you what this drum bus compressor is doing. We'll play that same section of the song, and I'll show you what it does, you know. Alright, so as you can see, when my drum hits, it compresses 2 decibels, alright? So the trick is to have 30 ms attack and 100 ms release, so that you'll still be able to compress your drums, you know, without killing your transients. And that's how you achieve punchy drums, alright? That being said, since we're doing that 30 ms trick on our master bus and our drum bus, what we will do instead is I would have fast attack times on my snare and on my kick, you know, like the fastest attack times for consistency, you know. And I don't know if I've done that with my toms. Yes, I've done that with my toms as well, so that when it hits, it triggers the compressor on the drum bus and on the master bus. But you also have a consistent waveform for your toms, for every part of your drums, your snare, your kick, you know, and everything, you know. Well, basically not everything. I usually do it on snare, kick, and toms, and that's pretty much it, you know. And you combine that with, actually no, we'll talk about that on another time. For now, I'm just going to show you. Let's just talk about this one first. So the technique here is, so it's some sort of like a combo, all right? You have your compressors doing that with the fastest attack settings on your individual drum elements, like your snare, your kick, and your toms, all right, for consistency. And then you add that with drum bus compressor, which does the punchy part, which adds the punch, and your master bus. You have a drums that is not only punchy, but it's also consistently punchy, you know. It's consistent because of your compressors here. Alright, I'm assuming you all know how compressors work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. To me, that's the ultimate combination for your drums, alright, is to have a very consistent drums with your compressors for your individual elements, and ultimately your serial compressors on the master bus and the drum bus, you know, adding the punch, you know. We've talked about that earlier, alright? Like this video if you like this video, and dislike this video if you don't like it. If you find this, if you disagree with everything that we've talked about, hey, you know, we'll talk about it. You know, we're all musicians, we're all engineers right here. You know, we can have a good talk and we can learn from each other, you know. And I don't think that's a big deal. And so, you know, and however, if you know somebody who, actually do me a favor and share this video to Facebook or Instagram, or you know, or wherever it is, you know, like to a friend, you know, to a friend who can benefit from these videos. All right, over at this channel, we don't hold back on our techniques, and we make sure that you guys will be able to learn from it and will be able to benefit from it. So do me a favor, all right? So share this video and give it a thumbs up, and you know, all of that stuff. And if you find this interesting, subscribe, and you will be able to, and click that bell notifications if you want to be notified as to when a new video has been up. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving me a time of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. God bless. Love you all.